Jesus died for you and me on Calvary. We were set free on Calvary. Jesus died for you and me on Calvary. We were set free. You know they hung him high.
Oh, we have them songs. Good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to Real Talk Kingdom Discussions. This is part 2 of Marriage Crisis. If you tuned in on last week, it was a wonderful show, man. It was just a very, very personal type of show. It meant a lot to everybody who was on the panel, and I hope it meant something to the people who viewed it and got a chance to listen to it. On the day we're gonna finish up, if you're following along in the Bible app, we're gonna finish up days 4 through 6. Got a panelist here to speak on it, man. We're just gonna, like we say, we're not perfect. We're not even trying to attempt to be perfect. We just trying to get better, man. Trying to grow, and as we learn, we want to just share that. Share some of our own personal experiences and some of the way that God has given us an opportunity to interpret it and relate a message to you guys. So as you log in live, please tag and share this to your all's personal page. Please like our Facebook page, Real Talk with Martin and Garden, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, same name. Thank you guys. Oh, Jesus, you didn't have to do it, but you did. And I want to say thank you, Lord. Ooh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You paid my ransom. You paid my ransom. Ooh, oh, Lord. I'll thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You paid my ransom. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You paid my ransom. To save a wretch like me on a hill from Calvary, I'll thank you, for you paid the price. You paid my ransom. Thank you, Lord. got feelings that I just need to let that finish. Just need to let that finish. Y'all down with it? Amen, amen. Thank you. That was a great selection, man. I've been a fan of Trey McLaughlin. Anybody who's wondering where that music came from, Trey McLaughlin, Sounds of Zamar. You can pull that up YouTube. That he's got a lot of great music, man. Great music. Wonderful arranger and producer of music, man. Great guy. Without further ado, man, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Whoever's on right now, thank you for tuning in. Please tag and share while you're on so we can get more viewers live. Please remember that you can comment and ask questions live. If we can answer them, we will. And if we can comment on them, we will. But we're going to do that in real time. We'll get that in real time. Tag and share it to y'all's personal pages. As we're doing the show, our watchers. Somebody's phone? Hold on one second. Oh, there we go. As we get a chance to see your comments come across, we'll be able to read them out loud. Just be respectful with our comments, and we'll do the best we can to try to answer them. That goes without saying. Again, man, we have Pastor Wardell Dyson, Minister Therese Jordan, Pastor Lionel Johnson. This week we without our brother Vernon Gordon. Hopefully we catch him on the next week, though. We had some things he had to do today. Before we dive into it, man, I just want to check with these guys, see how the holidays, man. How was Christmas for everybody, man? Did you get a chance to take care of your family or kids, or at least be off work, or get a chance to eat? How was Christmas? Was Christmas good, man?
Good.
Good.
Bless.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to get through another one. And I'm glad to know what the real meaning behind Christmas is. That's truthful. Now, like I said before last week, there's some things that go on throughout the holiday spirit in our personal life that sometimes Christmas don't feel like Christmas. Holidays sometimes don't have the same meaning every year to us. That's the difference between life and then just talking about it as a novelty.
Yes.
Christmas is a novelty in America. Western civilization has made it a tradition. But we really know what the true meaning behind Christmas is all about.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that, we cool to include the gift giving and all that, because it's more about giving. Believe it or not, as a child, I of course you would go through your phase of wanting to receive, but because I'm the oldest of my siblings on my mom's side and my dad's side, at a very young age, I got to a point when I just wanted to see other ones get stuff. Once I started feeling like I could make a little money at 14, I would just kind of tell my mama, whatever you can for me, great. But if you can't, just get something for them.
Right.
Because, and as I've been an adult, I really enjoy giving more than receiving. Yeah, you want something, but as a man, you ain't gonna want to get much gifts like that. But the gifts are seeing your children and your family smile, having health and strength, and being able to have, if it ain't no more than hosting a Christmas at your crib where it gets cooked and fellowship, that's like what it's about now. So for everybody out there, man, we just want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a happy holidays and season's greeting as we approach the New Year's for 2021. And we're praying for a positive 2021. We're praying for increases for everybody personally, financially, in their homes, spiritually, as well, man. Whatever goals that we set at the beginning of the year, we're hoping that we're able to stay steadfast in those goals and push through them even when it gets tough. Where most people want to adopt a weight loss strategy at the beginning of the year. By the time March comes, we stop that. Some people some people have ideas to go on more vacations throughout the year. And so they start trying to save money for that. Whatever that is, and if it's getting closer with God, which we hope that's what it is, continue working at that. And even when it gets to the mundane aspects of you done got through June and start to seem mundane and routine, push through that anyway, because setting goals this is what they always told me. If you don't, how it goes, they said if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Yeah. So planning is like setting goals at the beginning of the year. And it's really a real good quote, man. It's serious because truly, when you don't plan, you just kind of letting the days come as they go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You kind of like a leaf in the wind. Yeah. Wherever it blows you, you find yourself. But what we want to do in 2021 is be planted down like trees, man. Want to be roots in 2021, so that we might have leaves that fall off of us, but we stay steadfast and strong in whatever that is that we're trying to pursue. So, man, without further ado, I just wanted to give my season greetings from the show for all the panelists on the show. Let you guys know that we hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. We saw all the wonderful pictures on social media of the family photos, and everybody can do the photography now. It looks like that's just a new thing. And if you couldn't do nothing else, you got a chance to do picture day at home. We did it, and I've seen so many other families do it with their pajamas on. But that's awesome, man, because believe it or not, these are the good sides of social media. That's the negative aspects of it, but just sometimes getting a chance to see your family, friends, people that you don't get to see on a daily basis. Even if you just see them through social media, you see that they're healthy, their family's growing, and you see that they're happy, and that kind of does your spirit good. That's right. Anyway, man, moving on. Before we start the show, man, we want to pray, man, and we're going to do a special prayer. We won't get into specifics, but we have persons on the staff. Every one of us needs prayer, but we have a special prayer to one of our brothers on the show, and we're not going to disclose that, but we just want y'all to be praying for whatever that resolution is, whatever God's will in that, we want that to manifest itself. But I'll lead this prayer, and then we'll get ready to start the show. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for another opportunity to come before you and your people, man, as an opportunity to get a chance to share a lesson dealing with marriages. We know the enemy attacks marriage because it's sacred and it's a covenant that's made between man, woman, and God. Yes. And because of that, the enemy is going to attack that from every angle. It's going to go on to the end of time. Getting married does not make us immune to the attacks of the enemy. Yes. But they really sometimes seem to help push him along a little harder. Yes. But I'm asking, Lord, that for marriages to be restored in 2021 as we go into if there's people that's on the cusp of salvaging, dissolving their marriages, we asking that they take a closer look into it and dig a little deeper just to make certain that that is what they really want to do. And Lord, if that's the will, and that's your will for it, Lord, then there's nothing else we can do about that. But Lord, we asking that you just step in wherever you see fit, Lord, in any one of our lives individually, the things that we see, the things that we don't know, the things that are coming down the road that we have no idea about, Lord. I'm asking that you step in and smooth and make those obstacles be our footstools. Let those obstacles be something that we're able to conquer, Lord. Something that we're able to conquer. Every marriage goes through tests and battles. But we're asking that you allow these marriages in 2021 to stand strong, be steadfast, and if it's at all possible to be salvageable, we're asking that you do that. And when all else fails and it's no longer salvageable, Lord, we're asking that for those individuals, as individuals, children of God, we're asking that the blessings be upon them as they go on into other aspects of their lives. And Lord, we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So, we got 3 days on it, man, and I'm pretty sure everybody read. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something different. I'm going to let y'all guys take the days, and then I'll fill in and jump in when I chime in, when I see fit to chime in. and when I want to expound on something. So what we'll do is, let me see, and it's some great topics too, because the first one for day 4 starts off with my parents are divorced. How do I make my marriage work? On last week, we talked about in day 1, if you followed along last week, the first one was relationship 1-on-1. We all need counseling. All right, then on day 2, we talked about, so one of you had an extramarital affair, you can make it. But there are some times when it just does not work. But then we talked about that and dove into that and really extended the show a little longer than normal, because once we got started, everybody just had some things that they wanted to share, and it just was a wonderful show. And then on day 3, we talked about pornography, and it's a spirit though, and what it can do to it, kind of how it can impact your marriages in a negative way. But the title was called "Porn Can Ruin Marriages, But There's Hope." Some people, everybody has their own demons. Some people have no issues with pornography, but it might be gambling. Some people have no problem with gambling, but it's pornography. Some people have no problem with either one of them, but it's extramarital affair. But in this particular thing, this is about marriages. So pornography is an important ingredient when we discuss marriages, because pornography, when you don't understand it, it defiles the covenant made between you, God, and your spouse. And that's what you don't want. So we talked about that. And so today we're going to talk about, we're doing day 1, when my parents are divorced, how do I make my marriage work? Wonderful topic. I didn't get yes I did. I wrote some notes for it, but we're going to let Brother Wardell Dyson take that. Therese going to take day 5, and Pastor Johnson going to take day 6. And that'll conclude our lesson on marriage crisis. Without further ado, Pastor Dyson.
All right. My parents are divorced. How do I make my marriage work? A few years into marriage, I stood alone in our house staring at sailboat painting on the wall. My husband, Jason, had left for work after another hurtful conversation. I couldn't help but wonder, how could I make my marriage work when my parents' marriage did? If your parents are divorced or their marriage is struggling, you've probably felt afraid that your own vows may break into pieces. Maybe you stood in the aisles on your wedding day and whispered a vow never to make the same mistakes they made. Internal alarms went off when my husband and I faced challenges. Wasn't my marriage supposed to be smooth sailing? Had my parents faced the same struggles in their marriage? I had decided that it was up to me to make our marriage last, but it wasn't going well. I began to identify with my parents' brokenness. Here's what I realized. Only when we started looking looking at our brokenness in the face can it tell us the truth. King David had some brokenness to face. He had several marriage mistakes, including an affair. Still, he kept depending on God with his broken and contrite heart. Do you find yourself laying out all of your heart to God? Are you depending on yourself? The harder I worked as the marriage savior, the more I hated losing my temper or disappointing my husband. Lighten your load. Do you believe God is daunted with hardship in your marriage? God actually delights in your needs for him. If human perfection and mere human effort at divorce prevention works, we wouldn't need God. So how can we make our marriages and remarriages work? As I cried in front of the painting, I realized for the first time that there are three dark figures, and God was teaching me something through them. I wasn't alone. It wasn't just me and my husband. Jesus always has been and always will be in our boat. We do not have to fear divorce or overspend ourselves trying to single-handedly prevent it. We can grow together as we face our inadequacies with Jesus in our boat. Number one, give yourself permission to be broken. This one feels awkward at first. Who wants to mess up? When you make a mistake or feel distant from your spouse, ask God how he sees you and your marriage. Forgive yourself and ask God for his forgiveness. Number two, say a prayer of forgiveness for your parents whenever you start to blame or belittle their marriage. When you forgive your parents for their marriage failures, your marriage can have freedom to grow through difficulties. Three, take one brave step. Whether it's starting another Bible plan after this one, saying yes to marriage counseling together, praying together, or writing out a vision statement as a couple. Taking the next brave step towards facing your fears, knowing Jesus is in the boat.
Amen.
Amen, man. I gotta say something on that, man. I was listening, and then I let you go ahead and y'all take over. But one key thing that I got out of there was that many people, instead of being married, they spend their time trying to not be divorced. Trying not, and it's a difference. Because in some marriages, that word comes up far too often. I remember in mine, seemed like every time we get into it, that word come up. And that's an uncomfortable word to be hearing every time you have a disagreement. And from either side, because that's the reason to get married. One of the reasons is to figure out how to work things out. If that's the case, you may as well just date people. You get married so you can be married. But a lot of times when you got one party seeming as though they are just there to hold up, make it work, single-handedly, that little line he put, we don't have to fear divorce or overspend ourselves trying to single-handedly prevent it. The reason why they're saying it though is that God wants that. First of all, you already made a covenant with him, involved. He wants to be on the boat with you. So you don't have to go through your whole day and your whole week trying to figure out what you need to do to prevent it all the time. That's weighing on you and it's burdensome. But also you gotta give yourself permission to be broken. What's broken? Well, he gave an illustration of the author saying that their parents was divorced. Well, that particular situation can lead to brokenness when you get in your own relationship, because you did not see that manifest itself into something that was successful. So if you go into another relationship, some people would say you don't have a great example to follow behind. But a lot of times we want to ignore it and pretend that the way we was brought up don't have no impact bearing on the way we are in our relationship, but it does. A lot of times it don't mean it's going to be perfect, but if you had a household when your mom and father stayed together, you didn't have to hear them arguing, but since you're grown and you've been in a marriage now, you know they had disagreements, but you can see that they had something in them, even if you didn't know what it was, that kept them coming back to that center. 9 times out of 10, even if they wasn't spiritual, they understood that marriage was more than just that contract. And then as they matured, they probably did understand that their marriage is a spiritual thing and it has a covenant that binds them together even when they are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
That's right.
So I just thought that it was awesome to kind of remind yourselves to be broken. And ain't not one thing in the world wrong with that. And this is a key thing that I wrote down. I'm gonna move on. God delights in your need for Him.
Yeah.
But this is what I wrote for myself, the other side. But many of our so-called friends, they delight in our struggles as well, but not to help us.
Exactly.
See, God delights in it
Right.
because He wants you to hand it over to Him.
Yeah.
Because He wants to be in the boat with you. Some of our friends, they do though, but then you also have friends that delight in your struggles
Yes.
because they're happy that you're having problems,
Yeah.
and it's not for your benefit. So it's just different aspects, different things to think about. And I thought that day one was important because it does matter having a strong example, but that don't mean just because you didn't don't mean that you can't.
Right.
And just because you did don't mean that you will.
Real talk.
Both of them take work, but it does show something. It's something to be said when you had an example in front of you, 40 years strong,
Yeah.
and you know they had to go through some stuff, even if you heard it, seen it, didn't see it, didn't hear it. You imagine now being in your own relationship that some stuff had to come up from time to time, and you know they had to weather the storm. So I just thought that was awesome and important to note.
Yeah.
The word of God says that if we delight ourselves in the Lord, that He will give us the desires of our hearts. So said that to say this, sometimes in life, when we go through our ups and downs and trials and tribulations and circumstances in our life, we have to really look at the thing. Are we when we get married to a person, did God tell us to get married to that person, or did we just do it on our own? It's a difference, because if we follow what God says for our life, I believe that marriage will be successful. Not saying that we won't go through, hard times. Not saying that you won't go through trials and tribulations, but you'll be able to weather the storm. But me personally, I believe that if marriage was ordained by God, some of the things that happens in the marriage that he designed and that he planned, it won't happen. Right. Because people who fear God won't go out and do some of the things that they do in their marriage. But like I said, I mean, not getting off the subject, because we are talking about marriage.
Right.
But prayer and supplication is a key to marriage. Communication is a key to marriage. If you can't have one without the other, because you have to have God as the foundation of your marriage. If you don't have God as the foundation, then it's going to crumble and fail. Anything that you don't have God, it is going to crumble and fail. I just wanted to say
that's good.
That's what's up.
I got something to say pertaining to the brokenhearted and the brokenness in the individual. Sometimes being broken is when you can really feel the strength of God, the peace that He has, and the love. I have 3 scriptures. Psalms 34:18 said, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and save the crushed in spirit." Sometimes we'll be so hurt and crushed that we'll develop this own little box in this black dark hole, and only thing that will feed us is negativity out of the marriage. And like Horace said, some people will celebrate your wrongdoing and negative things, and instead of helping you to be more righteous in your marriage, And but always remember that you're not alone. I'm saying this because God is with you. Okay. And the second scripture says, Psalms 147:3, He heals the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds. See, the broken person in the marriage, you have to run to God so that you can get that fixed. I remember Pastor Lionel said something last week about you can cover up your wound for so long, and soon as you get that brush again, soon as you go through, you get another marriage, and the same thing happened to you. Oh, now you bleeding on that innocent bystander, simply because they didn't know that you are offended in that area, because you didn't finish getting healed by God. So the last one is Psalm 73:26. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart forever. No matter what it looks like in your marriage, if you want to turn it around, if you want to throw it down on the ground, if you want to lift it up, no matter how you feel, if you stay connected to God, your heart will still pump. Your mind will still be clear. Your joy will still be there. And you will be able to stand on the word of God because you will feel him. He will embrace you because of your brokenness. I'm gracefully broken. You know, so Lord, take me as I am. And he will. That's what he wants you. He wants you all messed up so that he can rebuild you and fix you up so that you can be better than you was before.
I'm going to let Pastor Lionel Johnson share his thoughts too, but I wanted to, before we got too forward, I won't actually remember what the comments were for. I wanted to read a few of these comments real quick. Pastor Lionel Tucker had a few of them, but there's some great comments, great comments. He got one of them says, we can't count those before us as law. Some are only models of what not to do. As he's talking about when you had a upbringing, when you possibly had a household where it may not been walking along with God. You know what I'm saying? Some of us didn't have that model. And so sometimes having them there was still good for you because it showed you what you don't want to do. And then he also says sometimes what our parents have done is a great model to bring awareness. It brings awareness to you. And then he said that some people say if it was good enough for mama, it's good enough for me. And I do know a lot of people that live by that little mind frame, that little thought. I'm not going to say that's the actual best way to look at it, but if you don't remember nothing from last week, just remember when we talked about what Pastor Wardell Dawson was kind of implying or referring to was about being equally yoked. We talked about that last week. There's many levels of that. Some people say it's just a spiritual yokeness that they're talking about. Is it what do they mean? Do they mean just foundational core values? Right. I think it's a mixture of all of them. But you know for a fact that if you believe in God and someone doesn't, you fight an uphill battle trying to bring them all the way over, and then start from there. You want to start at a certain level, even playing field. That even though y'all may not agree for all the details, the core values are agreed upon. I love Jesus. You love Jesus. At least we can start there. You know what I'm saying? I believe it's essential for our children to worship and come to church, whereas you don't. Well, we got some foundational beliefs that we need to kind of get aligned. And this was brought up to me today in a conversation I had with one of my partners. He was like, about the equally yoked and unequally yoked. About having this mythical soulmate that I talked about. I said, man, I just kind of don't think, what if some person wasn't your soulmate? And what if they're not equally yoked? I said, it's possible to not be equally yoked when you meet each other. But once y'all have conversations and start understanding where y'all backgrounds come from, then y'all should start working together and start bouncing out before marriage. Before this is in the courting stage. This is what my understanding would be. Because a lot of us gonna have different backgrounds, but that don't mean just because you come from here and I come from there, we can't bring together. But are we working on that toward that while we're doing courting? Because a lot of times you can figure out what a person's gonna be during that courtship. But we like to skip courtship. We like to go speed that thing up sometimes. And when we don't allow that process to take its natural process, sometimes we end up noticing things later that we kind of should have saw if we'd have just let the courtship play out. Equally yoked, just getting back at that, I don't think that it has to be a thing that has to be that way upon meeting. But I think upon meeting, these are the conversations that's supposed to be had. And then during the courtship, y'all need to start kind of coming together.
That's right.
On core values, core beliefs. That's just my thought on it. Go ahead on.
I agree with what you were saying. I was gonna come to that. Pastor Tucker has some great thoughts. But my whole thing about the brokenness, my personal opinion sometimes is that marriage is simply two people that are half done that completes each other or merges. You know what I'm saying? I'm half done, she's half done. When we come together, I'm supposed to complete you. You're supposed to complete me. Right. So the yoking thing, well, I'm weak at. She's my help me.
That's right.
So I'm weak at. She's gonna be like, baby, let's boom, 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 and let's get this here done. Right, yeah. And when she's weak at, I'll be like, baby, God put me here. I got you. I got you. So when we look at everything, first thing we gotta look at is in the whole thing as leaders and ministers and pastors, we have to look at the whole ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, so first thing we have to realize is a lot of these situations, some people, they just not gonna give God the thing first. Right. They gonna exhaust every avenue before they come to pastors or before they say Jesus. Wow. You see, if you look at social media, for example, everybody bring their problems to social media. I can't stand this man. I can't stand this woman getting on my nerve. Blah 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 blah. And in my opinion, like the sister said, that brokenness, that's what God that's when God is at his best. Yes, my Bible tells me that when I'm weak, God gonna flex his muscle on my behalf. Yes, sir. Simply because I believe in him. And simply because I'm holding on to that faith. Right. So I believe that in marriage, if somebody's operating in faith, the Bible tells us that the enemy is here too, still killing the destroy. We talked about that last week a little bit. But the Bible also tells me if I resist him, and in my resisting one, if I'm pulling away from one, I have to get closer to the other. Yes, so if I'm resisting the enemy and I'm getting closer to God, the Bible says the enemy gonna flee. I gotta get him out of my business. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put all my business on God in God's lap. Yes. God, this is for you. I'm gonna lay it at your feet, God. I don't want none of this other stuff, God. I just need you to fix it. That's right.
You remember when they said last week, one of the first steps was to assess where you are. Just be honest with where you are in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And then after you honestly assess it, get help. The get help thing is my problem. Because I just always try to handle it on my own. But this lesson that you just read told you that God says, I delight in your struggles, your hardship, because listen, you ain't gonna never find a friend, a brother, a father that wants your problems like God does. You're not going to find nobody that says, that's what I'm here for. Anything you struggle with, give it to me. I got that. we so used to trying to do things and take care of things on our own, you don't realize that we have a wonderful, wonderful outlet, the best outlet of all. Yes. And he actually telling you that give it to me. Yeah. The get help part is talking to somebody in confidence that you either pastor, mentor, counselor. A counselor and all that. He wants you to talk to somebody that you trust in. But the key was not just getting help from him, not just talking to him. Talk to somebody that is for your marriage. Yes. They're for your marriage, not for you. Yes. They're not for her. Yes. They're not saying, "Hey, you my friend, so I know whatever you say must be right." No, they're saying for your marriage. Talk, for real. That's real the key talk. For your marriage. Real talk. Some people is not for your marriage. As soon as you bring them one negative aspect about the other side, they delight. Boom. But they delight in your struggles because they don't want you to overcome it.
And that's some things that we do. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to actually, thank God He's put me in a position to be able to help a few couples get over humps and over. And one of the main things is being that person that's going to be flat out neutral. Right. I'm going to say what's necessary for your growth. Right. The man may not be happy with it, and the woman may not be happy with it. You know what I'm saying? But when the word hits you, the other partner's gonna do this. Mm-hmm,
yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. But then when it hits them, you do the same thing. Mm-hmm. That's right. But it only works if you allow it to help you grow.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
God wants you to grow together.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why he said two becomes one.
Yes.
It ain't no, I'm gonna grow a little bit and then, you know what I'm saying, then try to help her grow. No. We're gonna grow together.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pastor Tucker said, not who's right, what's right. That's
it.
good, man.
That's it.
Pastor Water, I know we kind of veered off, but it's 3 days, so that's what it's for. We didn't want to do it with 4, 5, 6 day plans. 3 days so that we can share and talk about it. So go ahead on. You can read the supporting scriptures.
Psalms 51:17. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. Mark 10:6. From the beginning of the creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh, so that they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. That's a key to that.
Yeah.
Because you look at the last part of that situation, it says, therefore what God has joined together. It didn't say what man has joined together. It said what God has joined together, let no man separate. Mm-hmm. Some people in a situation have joined themselves and then saw God when they joined themselves. Now they are going through rough times and situations. All right, it says in Matthew 8:23. I preached on this yesterday. It says, now he got into a boat. His disciple followed him, and suddenly a great tempest arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves. But he was asleep. His disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we are perished. But he said to them, why are you fearful, O you of little faith? And he rose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. So the men marveled, saying, who can this be, even that the winds and the sea obey him? All right. But the last one, I want to read this. 1 Peter 5:7. Casting your cares upon him, for he cares.
That's good. That's what we just got to talk about, man. So that was good, man. Day 1, man. I mean, day 4. My parents are divorced. How do I make my marriage work? Hopefully you guys got something out of day 4. And hopefully you get something from us elaborating on it, because that to me is just as instrumental as the lesson itself. Getting a chance to share and break down what we interpret the lesson to be. So we're going to move on to day 5. And day 5 is 3 people to find when you face a marriage crisis. Okay. Minister Therese Jordan.
3 people to find when you face a marriage crisis. I've never met an engaged couple who expected to go through any type of marital trauma in their marriage. Their new untested love tells them they won't be like other couples, and that somehow their love will be one that lasts. But the truth is, all couples will at some point face marriage problems.
Yes.
So what do you do when your life comes to a screeching halt because your most important earthly relationship is in jeopardy? Yeah. As Christ following married couples, we are to seek God, spend time in his word, and pray for healing in our marriages. Thankfully, God also uses people to help show us the way. When you're facing a marriage crisis, here are 3 types of people to seek out. Mm-hmm. These are 3 types of people to seek out. Right. People who are biblically grounded. Yeah. This is very important that you understand that you need to reach out to people that is for the marriage.
That's right.
Okay, this means counselors and friends. When a crisis arises in our marriage, culture screams its own set of ideas and truth. In times of dilemma, we need to surround ourselves with people who love and know the Bible well. Life groups and small groups are a great place to start.
Yes.
Don't go to a broken person.
Right.
Don't go to a person that got marriage problems.
Right.
Because they're gonna put their problems in your marriage. Now you're seeing things that ain't already there yet. You just know you're going through problems and you thinking it's gonna happen. So that can contaminate the future of your marriage.
Now you can go to somebody who has had marriage problems.
That's right.
Overcame them.
Yes.
When we talk about you have to be able to be someone who's overcome them. Well, go ahead.
Number 2, second type of people. Okay, people who are for your marriage, like we just said. It's so easy to listen to well-meaning friends who love you, take your side, and want you to be happy. But you need friends who want to see your marriage succeed. Friends who are willing to speak the truth, even if it's not what we want to hear. It's so easy to listen to that person that likes in your struggle, that's with you, because they want to pull you down with them. Point blank, period. So align yourself up with friends who will tell the truth about your flaws.
That's right.
And your wrong in your marriage or relationship. Okay. Third, a godly couple who has walked through difficulty in their marriage. Perfect. Okay. One of the best things we can do in a time like this is to find a couple who has beaten the odds and stayed together despite a crisis.
That's right. That's right.
They offer hope by their mere presence in our life.
That's right.
Our God is in the business of bringing life back to lifeless things. And that includes your marriage. Listen to that. God will bring life back in a lifeless situation.
That's
in
right.
Marriage. God.
Right.
God will.
That's right.
Okay. And that includes your marriage, specifically.
Right.
Okay. So trust Him. He is the only one who will never let you down.
Yes.
I'm gonna say something real fast, and I'm gonna move on. Trusting God, and trusting the fact that you're not the one that's always right. Trust the fact that you can be wrong sometimes. Look at yourself in the mirror and don't hide from it.
Right.
Find you out. And when you do that, if you know better, you do better.
Right.
And a lot of time it challenges your manhood or your womanhood. It challenges your lifestyle. It causes you to have to adapt to a different way. It causes you to readjust your life. And we don't like that sometimes because our flesh try to dominate.
Right.
But if you want your marriage to work, seek godly couples.
Right.
You know, listen to people who are for your marriage. Make sure you're not just focused on the wrong of the opposite person. Look at you too. Right. Understand why this going on, why that going on. Because sometimes things sometimes things starts off because of triggers. Right. You can trigger somebody for, in certain areas. Like Pastor Lionel said a few minutes ago, we have to work together in this. We have to grow together. Listen to me. I listen to you. We understand what's the problem. Then we can work with each other. And as we do that, we'll grow. We'll grow. And most importantly, remember that God can bring it back to life.
Right. That's real.
God
that's
can.
That's real talk. I know when he said, last week, I remember just like kind of piggybacking off of Mr. Therese, he was saying, just like a key thing was just trying to kind of lost my train. Hold on, like one key thing that I remember from last week was that what was it, man? You said it to goodness sakes, I forgot my train of thought. Hold on, give me a second, y'all. It'll have to come back to me. It was a good point. It was off something that he had just said. I forgot it. It was a key point that I wanted to make, but it'll come back to me when it does. I'll just share it. Yeah, move on.
Here's I'm sorry.
Sometimes we have to get in a place. It says seek three people out. Three different types of people. The first person it said was to seek people who are biblically grounded. That's exactly what you should do. Seek people who are for your marriage. There are some people out there that you're probably not even that cool with.
Right.
They're people that have true love in their hearts, and they want to see you succeed. They don't want you to be a statistic. You seek those type of people out there. So seek a godly couple out who's walked through difficulty. But the thing is, and I found that some marriages don't make it because we don't want to take the curtains off the window so that people can see into the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We don't want to take the curtains off. So therefore, we'll sit here and put each other through pure hell instead of seeking help, because now we got to get butt naked before somebody else.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? This is all I got now.
That's right.
Because before it gets to this point, I should, be right here and say, look, man, I know you've been through it because you've been vocal about it, and this is the help that me and my wife need. So we decided as a couple to come to you seeking help. How do we go about doing X, Y, Z?
Right.
And those are some of the things that we have got to do as people. Sometimes we run to people who's gonna tell our business immediately instead of running to that man or woman, that's there for you in your struggle.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Those people that are there for you in your struggle, people that you've already confided in and you ain't never heard it again.
That's right.
Them the people you seek out. Don't seek out somebody that get mad at you and then say something on Facebook like throwing a general statement out there.
But I just talked yesterday, and you know I just talked.
And I remember, blah blah, and I'm like, and you're like, really?
That's right.
Seek someone that's that want to see you win.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
They want to see you win.
And I thought about it. It came back to me. Thank you, Lord, for that. But it was about focusing. It's so easy. I'm serious, man. You got to remember that, first of all, we talked about it on last week, that when you get married, it's two flawed people. They're flawed. We come from different backgrounds, but we both flawed. But then after that, one thing that would help kind of allow us to kind of be more fair about it is when we try to focus on the things about that person that are praiseworthy.
Yes.
And that's what I was trying to touch on. We focus on the couple of things that we don't like about them or the things that they don't do well, but if we took a little bit more time to focus on the things that are praiseworthy, because remember, even though you might have a problem with them now, you wouldn't have married them if everything about them was horrible. Exactly. It's something that you like about them. How about some days just make an intentional effort to recognize some of the things that you find praiseworthy about them? We forget that. We start acting like these things are just everyday things. We start acting like these things are normal. We start acting like these things come and go as each day goes by. But we've been in a relationship before, and everybody is not the same.
That's right.
Some people have some things about them that you admire. I'm talking about your spouses.
Yeah.
And that help make you better. But when you're upset with them and you're feeling like you're not right now, y'all not vibing together, you want to just only point out the things that are quote unquote not praiseworthy instead of highlighting some of the things that made you like them.
Let me tell you why, and that, I'm gonna tell you how that be ignited. That's ignited by the wrong person you invest in. A negative narrator. Yeah. You're invested into a negative narrator. Now all you see is the evilness. All you see is wrong because you have a negative narrator in your life for that person.
Right.
And that's why it's important not to put your business in the hands of someone who's messy, who gossip, who talk about other people. Because I don't care. Sometimes it's your closest family. Sometimes it's your friends. You have to be very careful who you put your business into, because everybody's not for you. Right. And I want to read this right here. Colossians 2:8. It says, "Beware lest anyone cheat you through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the tradition of men, according to the basic principles of the world, and not according to Christ." You can get advice from someone, and they'll give you advice from what they've been through in their marriage, and it's nothing from the Bible. Right. It's their ways of thinking. It's what they think it should be. It's because, I wouldn't deal with it. I don't think you should do that. But what does the Word say about it? What does the Lord say about it? That is what you need to see.
One of our viewers has a very good question. Destiny Rising says that she asked, what if one party doesn't want to seek out biblically grounded counsel? It's a great question to anybody, man. We can all talk about it.
I believe this in certain situations. Sometimes if that one of you don't want to seek that counsel, it's very hard to counsel when it's just one person there. So you'll have to give whoever's counseling you a very true and accurate description of what's going on.
Don't hold nothing back.
So that I can give you great advice. You can't come in by yourself because your spouse is not there and give me the story that's gonna make you look good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta give me the story that's gonna so I can get everybody's thing, and then we can effectively give you counsel.
And it might not be perfect with you giving their perspective, but at least it's a little bit closer than one side, because it's never gonna be one side.
Right. And it's so dangerous when you do it. I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you give one side, and now you can truly love your companion, but you're just still chasing that care that you're looking for because you're broken instead of going to God. So what happens is this: you'll end up letting your marriage really fall because you won't pour out you're wrong. We can't, if you don't pour out, if you don't admit it, if you don't put it all on the table, how can you get past it? How can you get better? Now you're in a divorce, you're on divorce, but you walked out with this. Well, I'm the one that looked good, instead of, oh man, I could have saved my divorce. I could have helped this human being be a better person, instead of just taking bragging rights. So I really feel strongly on this part right here. When you doing that, admit the truth. Admit your fault. Right. Look at you. Sometimes, see, I did it to myself. I looked at myself. I done this before. So I know what I'm talking about. You have to look at yourself. What's wrong with me? Right. What am I doing? What am I causing? And you start making adjustments with the power of God. Because once you confess it to God, God will give you strength. And you'll be able to forgive yourself. And what will happen is you'll be able to grow and get better. And then once your companion see you striving for excellence, then you're going to sanctify your wife or your husband. They're going to come with you because they see your change. Right. Sometimes you just have to lead by example in your marriage. Amen. You still one, you still together, but you just don't holler no more. Don't get mad no more. Don't let that bring you down no more. Stay up. Keep planting your face in the word. Keep walking by faith. Keep doing the things you know that is right in God's eyesight. That's how God will take care of your marriage. You gotta realize this. It's gonna hurt sometimes, but you will have strength. You'll feel down sometimes, but you'll still have joy. You will feel less than a person, but you are great in God because you are uplifted and He has you. He has you in your care. He has you in His arms. But you must confess. Right. Give it up, because if you don't, you have a blockage.
Right, that's right.
You have a blockage. And you can't get that what you need. And you'll be just like that for years and years and years and years, and you contaminate the generation under you. Give it to God, confess it, deal with your wrong, deal with it, and watch you grow and watch your marriage is saved by the grace of God. Yeah. That's simple.
I like that part when he said lead by example no matter what, especially when you know it's right. Because sometimes people don't realize that maybe one of us committed an act against the other, but you doing it back to me don't make it better.
That's right.
If you not a cheater, don't cheat because I cheat.
Right.
If you don't lie because I lie.
Right.
Don't try to, because that's taking, first of all, you're not being yourself, first of all. But you're going to also have to be responsible for your own actions.
That's right.
You're not going to get a pass just because I did it first. If that's not your nature, you know, this is a real moment. This ain't no scripture.
Real talk.
I'm going to say that and then I'm going to get it in. This is straight up real. This is not scripture. Believe it or not, you have a better chance of changing someone by being who you are than trying to act how they acting to get them back. Listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. Your husband cheated on you or your wife cheated on you, you don't cheat at all. Do you know that if you cheat on them back, majority of the time that'll give them the understanding in their mind that it's eye for eye, so we even now. But you do better off when you don't cheat. They see that you never wavered. You never moved up. You never went sideways. You stayed straight and narrow. That'll bring something. Get out the cheating. You mean you're not sweet to your spouse. Okay, but the other one is sweet. Okay, you just continue to keep being sweet.
Talk your talk,
Keep
boy.
being sweet. Keep being sweet. Don't be like I am, because I ain't been sweet to you. You decide not to give it back. Keep being sweet. Eventually, if I do love you, I'm gonna start saying, you know what, man, come on, Paris. Man, what's the deal? Man, this woman is always showing you acts of kindness.
Yeah.
Kept always sweet to you, and you continue. That changes you more than trying to do me back. But anyway, that's just what I want to share. You had a point.
Yeah, my point is, what if I say I've heard all the God stuff. I hear all of how God honors marriage, stuff like that. I hear all of that. But what if you to a point of no return in your marriage?
Sometimes it happens, but I'm gonna let Pastor Johnson.
What if you to a point of no return? You feel like that you at the end's rope. You feel like that there's no savage. It's a deep conversation.
I know. Yeah.
You feel like that you've done all that you could do, and I know that Pastor Dunn McClurkin made a song. After you've done all you can, you just stand.
Mm-hmm.
But when the stuff hit the fan,
Right.
to where it's either you gonna get out of this situation, or you gonna end up going down further in your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And God will give you all. I always told us. I mean, we being real here. God, all throughout the Bible, God always give us a way out.
That's right.
He always give us a way of escape. And like I said, man, I might be getting emotional about it. But
okay.
The thing about it is, God will only allow you to take so much.
Yeah.
You only could take so much in a situation to where he always have that light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. He always give you, he always send you through this purification moment in order for when you go through the fire, then on the other side of through, you're going to come out shining like pure gold.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So the thing about it is, I mean, we being real, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not just trying to bring nothing to this or nothing, but the thing about it is, man, when God tell you that it's all said and done and it's over with, so what you do then?
I believe this, honestly. The first thing you said was, what if it was at a point of no return? Sometimes God let things get real, real bad and look real, real gone.
Right.
Just so he can do a miracle.
Yeah, real talk.
See, I'm not saying for or against. I'm just saying this. God was chilling. I mean, he would kick back, he was chilling. Then they say, man, Lazarus needs you. He was chilling. Lazarus needs you. All right, okay. He kicked back again. But he flat out told him, look, bro, Lazarus dead. He told him that. This situation, Lazarus is dead.
Yeah.
But I'm coming over here to do something for the glory of God.
Tell it.
And when he got there, he told him, if you believe, I'm about to perform a miracle in your life. So with that being said, there's nothing
that's too far
for God.
That's right.
That he can't return from a state of death.
But
understand, let me keep going. But at the end of the day, we listen to God for his instruction. You are an oracle of God. You are an oracle of God. When you are in tune with what God is saying to you, go with God's move.
Right. You just got to know that.
Right.
Go with God's move.
That's why I said, if God is telling you that it's time for you to move on.
But that's what I'm saying. If God has spoken to whatever party in the situation, you know the voice of God.
Right.
For your life, concerning your life. I can't tell you what the voice of God tells me for my life unless he tell it to me. If God told me, hey, listen, Lionel, go tell Pastor Dyson X, Y, Z, or go tell Minister Therese X, Y, I'm coming to tell you.
Right.
Flat out. I can hear God's voice for myself. Just like everybody in here. God speaks to you and you hear him.
Right.
So if God is giving you confirmation that it's not listen. We have to make sure our emotion, hear me good. We have got to make sure that our emotion don't lead us into a place where we hear what we want to hear instead of hearing what God is saying.
Right.
So that I've been there before. You know what I'm saying? I got to a point where I flat out just wanted to quit.
Right.
I just wanted to quit. Look, hey man, I'm done with this here. It wasn't a marriage situation. It was just something that I had a heart to do. But I was going through so much struggle, and God had to tell me, I got you. Flat out. God had to tell me.
Hold on. I know Mr. Therese said he was reading it in his lesson about God can have a situation that's lifeless and bring life back to it. But because this is real talk, we human beings, and I empathize with the realness of it, the human side of it. That's saying, and even with the human side, you're still saying, I have a revelation from God, so it's still spiritual. So, but even as a human, when you take out the spiritual aspect of it, we human beings, we have feelings. We got emotions and we feel a certain thing. But you made a great point by saying distinguish that emotion from the voice of God and what you wanted to be saying, because we can manipulate ourselves like that as well. But when you're a man of God and you go to him and you put time into that and you've heard that and you know for a fact, because sometimes, even though we talk about marriage crisis, it's called a crisis for a reason, because sometimes they don't come back. There are situations when the marriage is not salvageable, and it's because one of the parties is not willing to do it for whatever reason. So we read about that last week. It's not always going to be a happy ending, but you want to make sure you have exhausted all your avenues.
Let me say this. I'm going to use the greatest example, and it's Jesus. Now, it's never too far gone. I'm going to tell you something. Nothing is too hard for God. Listen to this. We was born into this world. It's just sin. Sin is our nature. God sent Jesus to save us. Jesus went through persecution. Jesus was lied on. Jesus was talked about. He was whipped. He was nailed. He was spit on. He went through anything that man can possibly think that can be endured through temptation, trials, and tribulations. There is absolutely nothing God can't bring back to life. If that was true, if that wasn't true, we don't have saving grace. Let me tell you something. God can bring anything back to life if you're willing to receive it.
That's real.
Now, death itself, God put a silencer on death when Jesus was raised. Listen to me. Anything that's dead can come back to life through Jesus. Now, this is real talk. It's spiritual, but it's the word. So, even though it's spiritual, it's still real talk because it's truth. Right. Anything that's real talk is truth. The word is truth. Truth is the word. The Spirit of God blew breath in our body. The Spirit of God can blow fresh air in a dead, toxic environment and turn it into a great accomplishment of believers and people who love each other. Nothing is never too far gone unless you give up. God would never give up. Why would he send his son? He sent his son for marriages. He sent his son for our personal lives. He sent his son for success. He sent his son so that we can be the best of us. You are never too far gone. That marriage is never too far gone. Jesus is the resurrector. Yeah. He is the resurrector. Ask Lazarus. Ask him. Listen, you you can never say it's too far gone. It's just gonna take for you to give it up and give it to God and keep walking and keep living that life that God has ordained you to live, and everything will fall in place. We hold on to people so much in this world to where we cling to them instead of looking at Jesus.
Right.
And that's why it feels like it's over with, because it's out of our hands. Be glad it's out of our hands. Because if it's out of your hands and you're a believer, that means God is in control. But you have to let it be. Even though it looks like it's a mess, sometimes God will let you fall all the way down in the pit, like Pastor Lionel said, just so that he can raise you up, so that his glory can be shown among men. Right. Sometimes it may not look good, but it will be for your good. So never think it's too late, because it's never too late. It's too late when you dead and you sleeping in your grave.
Yeah. Man, I got some great comments. I gotta read them before we move on, because they awesome, man. Lonnie Tucker said there are deceiving spirits too. Exactly. And then Destiny Rising said that same thing we had just said. She said that, hold on, let me scroll down. She said, can your emotions make you think you are hearing from God, but it's actually your own feelings and emotions you're hearing correct? It can happen. That don't mean it's not from him, but it can be that way. Pastor Tucker said, in those moments, we are most fleshly. Hold on, let me get back to that. Hold on right quick. He said, so we have to be careful in distinguishing God's voice. And let's see, it's just so many of them, I got to read them. Oh, they're good, though. Let's see. Psalmist Sean Jordan said, sometimes we all have to self-evaluate ourselves, yes, and see what it is we need to change, because it could very well be one thing that we ourselves are doing wrong, where bad spirits can enter into our marriage and cause problems. And that's right. Some great comments, man. Great comments. Thank y'all for being interactive, because it's helping the panel and helping the viewers out there, because we real. It's real, man.
That's right.
It's real.
That's right.
It's real talk, man. But anybody got something else before we move on from that? I know we was on Mr. Therese on date 5. Yeah, that was it. That was mainly it. Yeah. That is powerful. But you can tell, I don't know if y'all can tell live, but I can tell in here, it's powerful.
And it's so powerful.
And it's necessary. It's necessary conversation. And listen, I hope that when we put marriage crisis as the topic, that y'all didn't think that we were experts. Like, I hope that I didn't present that as a way of saying that I got it. Yeah. Because if you don't know, I said it last week. I think this is my 3rd time doing it. I don't have it. There have been times when I've tried to have God involved with it, but you just don't know what you don't know. And if you don't have no example, sometimes it do affect you, how you go into a marriage. Yeah. You know, my mom and dad wasn't married. Great mom, she had a husband, but they divorced as a teen. When I was a teen, my dad was always there in my life, always a great positive influence, but still seeing mom, dad show you how married folks are, that's something I never saw. That's right. So this is what I pray for anybody. If your mom and daddy can't show you, I hope you're in a situation where you're able to see it manifest through someone else. Right. What I mean by that is, maybe it don't happen in your household, but you have a grandfather and a grandmother, or you have friends that you go by and you can see what that looks like. But some of us come from different backgrounds and we just don't know. And you try to do it, you think you're the right way, but when God ain't in it, it's only a contract. Remember, the 3-strand cord have to have Jesus in it. That's right. Before that, it's only a contract. Once you put Jesus in the middle of it, it becomes a covenant. That's when it becomes a covenant. But when you try to do it on your own, what if you didn't have no example? So all you have is your own ideas of what it should look like, never really having had a true example. What if you had an example? Well, you still got to walk it for you, though. You still got to walk it for y'all, though. And sometimes you might have had your parent, mom and dad stay together forever. But just because sometimes people live in a house don't mean they love each other. Ooh. And just because sometimes 2 people didn't divorce don't mean they showed you the right way. It's got a lot of people that stayed married, but they still ain't the example that you want to follow for your marriage. If you understand that, I'm going to let that stay right there, but I hope you caught that. They married for 50 years, but that don't mean that's the example for you to follow. And so the only way to do it right, you have to include Jesus in it. You got to include him in it, man.
When you said there are people that stay together but they're not examples to follow. I mean, my thing is that was like deep, because at the end of the day, there are truly some people that's been together 30 and 40 years, and you look at their marriage, and if you try to formulate and do what they do, you fall flat on your face. Our DNA and our makeup and all that stuff is different, totally different.
Correct.
So, as men and women, the best thing to not do is emulate that marriage unless God is at the center.
That's right.
Wow.
Unless God is at the center.
Wow,
because if I try to follow blah blah blah's marriage,
right.
and me and my wife ain't nowhere near blah blah blah's mentality, me and my wife, we just going through the motions now.
Wow.
And one day it's just gonna fall on our face.
So that's just like taking. Now y'all just put me on something. So tell me if I'm right. That's just like taking advice from someone who will not suffer the same consequences as you. Like we see an ideal marriage, and they've been together 20, 30 years. Right. So they know how they working, right? And so what they do don't mean that you can do what they do, because it could potentially cause more damage.
That's why I said you got to get advice from somebody that's biblically grounded or somebody that's godly and been through. Why? Because they're going to give you current advice. Correct. Not how we did it. Right. How we did it ain't going to work for you. Right. But that current advice.
And the key thing was, just because they've been married a long time, that don't mean that's the example to follow. Some people stay married for all types of reasons. Yeah. Financial, want the kids to see two people in the same house. Wow. That was a big deal for them. All they wanted to get married for, they wanted to get married for the right reasons, but it got to a point where no more love no more, but they still believe in one core value. The core value was, I don't want my kids to grow up in a household without two parents. That might be enough to make them stay married. That's it though. Right. It's not no love, affection, none of that, but they just do have that core value, like that yoke that said that if nothing else we agree on, we're going to ride this thing out for the sake of the kids.
But is that,
but that's what I'm saying.
But is that ain't
no,
right.
It's not.
Well,
that's what
I said it was right.
That's what I'm telling you. But just because they're together, they don't mean.
Remember what was Pastor Dyson that read? My parents got divorced. Should I get divorced? Some people will stay together simply because they don't want to be the statistic that says my mom and daddy got divorced, now I got divorced. Right. They'll stay together simply because my children, I wait till my children are 18, then we're going to part ways, and then by then we've grown some kind of affection, not love, but some kind of affection to where I love you, but I don't want to see you with nobody else. And it does not matter. We as humans, we do stuff like that. Also, we have a thing going on where I've heard guys say this. They go through pure hell in a marriage. They don't want to get counseled, and this is what they're saying. Man, I'm going to stay because I don't want no other man raising my kids.
Correct. And so that's why I say, just because they're married, that don't mean they are the example. So
I've heard that.
Biblically grounded.
But tell me, I'm going to let it go. Circumstantial evidence qualifies you to write divorce. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like you go to hell because you get a divorce.
No, I don't.
Now, because I'm telling you, us as preachers, right? And you know, sometimes you get backlash. Right. Even when you don't get a divorce, you got problems in your home. Right. So let this be known. Right. Is it wrong?
That's great.
For a man, a preacher, a minister to divorce his wife when he feel like he need to?
Like I said,
no. Because listen, the Bible gives you grounds for divorce.
It does.
Right. Listen. Yeah. The Bible, this is what the Bible says.
What does it say?
The Bible says if you catch this person in the act of adultery, flat out, you can ride out to the sunset.
You don't have to.
But you ain't got to roll.
Right.
You ain't got to roll.
Right.
But guess what? At the end of the day, I feel like this here. Remember, God was giving us an example, but remember, what's his name? Hosea. This woman went out and she was doing her thing. He had to go buy her back. Remember this. He had to go get her. God said, look, I'm gone, bro.
Right.
He told God, I'm gone. But God said, no, you ain't. Go back and get her. Woo. Couple times. God said, go back and get her.
Yeah.
Go back and get her.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
What?
I promise.
No, it's not one.
hey, look, listen, hush, man.
That's why I'm real talk.
I ain't supposed
Look,
to.
Hey, be cool. But this is all I'm saying. This is all I'm saying.
Oh.
At the end of the day, when everything comes together, and we go, this is what it is. This is how it presents itself. I am not at fault because I lined up. What happens if you check every dot? Like we said earlier, I'm doing everything right.
What?
Everything right. And it still fails.
Hey.
God is giving you
You got
everything you need. Because I
You
believe
gotta
this.
escape.
We all believe that God answers prayers, right?
What?
Underground Railroad?
God,
Yeah,
show me
I feel that.
the real.
What?
I feel that.
And God gonna reveal everything
That's
in your
it.
life.
That's it.
What?
Now
It
we
may
hit-
be useful.
now-
He
now
will
we
reveal all
hitting
things
the
to you. What's that scripture?
nail. We hitting the nail, now.
When you serve God truthfully, He'll reveal all things to
Yes,
you.
sir. We
That's
hitting
in the
nail,
Bible.
man.
Right. Man, y'all was too much.
We
man.
hitting that nail now, man.
Listen.
We gotta get this
Listen, hold on, man. Listen.
Yeah,
When we were talking about
we hitting that nail.
just because people are married don't mean they're good examples. Father Pastor Tucker
Yeah.
had a comment. That's the difference between existing and living. Correct. Some people just there. You know what I'm
Wow,
saying? Then he
man,
said
that's
God
crazy.
wants us to live abundantly, and then he said y'all about to make me come there and meet, man. Hold on. Then he said God hates the boy. He
Hitting that
do.
nail, man.
He do. So that's why you want to exalt every
Yeah.
avenue.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
put
you-
God hating divorce. When God hates something, does that mean don't do it, or does that mean
Nah,
he
what
just-
does
That's
that
how
mean?
he feels about
He
it.
just laid it out. He hates the
He
boy.
calls certain sin. He
hates
calls
certain-
abomination.
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, he calls
Yeah.
that abomination.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he still comes in a place where we have to be mindful of everything involved with it.
Right.
Do we have to face a consequence from something that God hates?
No.
Is it a sin?
Again,
If
that's a-
it's-
We just talked about.
we
we
just said it
talked
already,
about.
man. We
Now,
got to
Jesus was saying. Don't trick
I'm
yourself.
just saying.
Don't do no Jedi mind
We
trick.
just talked about it.
Saving grace. Saving grace. Don't Jedi mind
He
trick.
hates
I'm new.
But Jesus died for all sins.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You have things that you prefer, but it might not go that way. He prefers and would love
Right.
if you stay married.
Right. This is.
But that
right,
don't mean
but
it's gonna happen.
You
man.
ain't going to
And
hell.
everybody
No.
who done got divorced
Right.
ain't going to hell just
Well,
because they got
all
divorced.
That's. I wanted to make that clear.
Right. Because when we look at marriage, let's be practical. Like I said last week, everybody don't get married because the way they should. He said earlier,
Yeah.
people skip courtship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some women
Yeah.
will see their cousin get married and then
Wow.
kind of force this man into marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
I got a dude that I work with going through the similar thing right now.
Right.
But at the end of the day, some people get married because I done mess around and laid up and she knocked my socks off or I knocked her socks off.
Right.
I mean, I ain't never felt this good, you know what I mean? Oh, Lord. And
Right.
now I come to realize that the physical thing was all they had to
That's
offer.
right, Lord.
Yeah.
All they had to offer.
Wow.
And now I'm faced with, look, oh man,
Right.
we're just two physical loving people just
Right.
sitting there.
And guess what?
Everybody
When
trying to grow.
you get married like that, guess what? God said, I'll still make that work too if y'all
He
want to
will.
work. You know, listen
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I know.
No, you're not married with the wrong pretense.
But
Right.
But what I'm saying is, don't think that just because you got married and it might not been the soulmate,
But-
quote unquote, because he can
But
make
he
that
can turn
person
it into
correct.
it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
but like I
Yeah.
said, God has
Listen,
power.
listen.
Listen.
Listen, I'm waking up now. Sometimes when you get older, physical gonna run out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, when we marry, we have to marry for the spiritual. If you find someone that's gonna grow your spirit, man. When he grows your spirit, man, then when the physical run out, You still got that spiritual.
Hold on.
I agree. I agree.
That's right.
We have, like I say, over time, every relationship, when a man and woman decides together, that's why I love when men and women decide together that we're going to love God with our whole heart.
Right.
Because when you decide together that we're going to love God with our whole heart, there are levels in that marriage that become so amazing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A spiritual journey with your life partner,
Man, that
is amazing, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
when God hits you, He hits them.
That's
When
right.
God does this, I mean, there's no other way to explain it.
That's right.
Personally,
That's right.
because sometimes me and my wife, I say, I'm not gonna sit here and put our relationship on a pedestal, because in the last couple of weeks, I read some stuff out of here, and I go home and ask my wife, baby,
Right, yeah.
how can we make this here work
Yeah,
in our
yeah,
marriage? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So everything is growing, but the fact that she and I are both willing to allow
Right.
God.
This real quick.
Hurry up, man.
I'm
I
gonna
said
hurry
hurry
up. I am. Look, when you got a life partner who has the Spirit of God in them too, like my wife, me, my wife and I, just the other night we had an experience with God. It's lovely having someone who's rooted in the Word of God,
man.
because it makes it easier. Because when it all fails, the Word of God is gonna stand.
That's
That's
it.
real. That's good.
I'm
That's
done.
equally your thing.
Let's
Now,
do it.
now look, y'all gonna make us have to come back next week just for day 6. But we gotta get day 6 out the way.
Come on,
We're gonna get day 6, but y'all see how it can go, man. This conversation is
Oh, yeah.
important. It's real. You can't sugarcoat this, because everybody's in different phases of their
Oh,
marriage.
yeah.
Yeah.
We different phases.
Yeah.
Because I've been on the side when it's not good,
Yeah, I have.
Man, it's hard to go
Everybody.
but I'm also been on the side when it's great and you can't wait to go home.
Right.
But just know the ebbs flows coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They coming, man. Just because it's great today, it ain't gonna be great tomorrow.
But
But it
gotta
just
hold it up,
depends
hold it
on
up.
what's at the center of it.
Yes,
Moving on, let's go to day 6, and we're gonna wrap it up, man. We got day 6, Pastor Johnson.
4 ways to protect your marriage from adultery.
Hmm.
Whether you're married or not, whether your marriage is good or not, imagine this. You're looking at a person who decided to give up their heart, some dreams, their body, their years, their singleness, because they committed to enter a lifelong exclusive partnership of selfless love with you. That's a nice description, man. You're about to tell them you put all of that and so much more on the line because someone kept flirting with you at work.
Wow.
Man, that it make you feel
Wow.
Right. When they dressed it up and
Like
did,
that.
man. Okay, so or because you think they listened, or because you felt like they lost their passion in the bedroom.
Mhm.
Now is the best time to do whatever it takes to protect your marriage.
Wow.
No one wants to end up a part of a conversation, but many of us will. Maybe we'll neglect our spouse's desires. Maybe we'll enjoy time alone with someone else. Maybe we'll let porn, work or ministry get in the way of our marriage.
Wow.
Wow.
Porn, work,
Wow.
or ministry.
Wow.
You wouldn't catch me, but ministry can get in the way too.
Huh?
It's true though. It's true.
So when
I mean,
I
but
first
it's
became,
helping our marriage now.
listen. When I first became a minister, one of the main advice, the best advice that my elder gave me at the time, Pastor Daniel, he told me, man, don't neglect your family
Yeah.
in doing ministry.
That's true.
Do not neglect your family in doing ministry.
I
You
agree,
still
but-
have to listen. You still have to do things that other families do. You are a preacher. You are a pastor. Yes, you are. You love God, but your children deserve daddy. Your wife deserves husband.
That's real.
Yeah, you got to be all that. Basically, you got to be Superman on
Because you
earth
actually-
without the kryptonite.
That's right, that's
Well, I'm gonna just
Yeah, okay. Get in our way of marriage, but let's kick adulterous bad advice to the curb and replace it with the good stuff. Here are 4 ways to protect our marriage from adultery today. Radically reduce risk. Risk is for extreme sports, retirement funds, and business ventures, not for marriage. We don't take risk in marriage. For marriage, fidelity is great to take risks together, moving to a new place or going on an adventure, but don't risk your relationship. Instead, Stroke the fire of your faith. Never talk badly about your spouse to other people.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Ever surround yourself with strong marriages. Avoid risky situations with the opposite sex. That's good for a minister. Don't put yourself in a situation where somebody can say anything about.
Right.
Is it really important? It is really important to go somewhere alone with the opposite sex. Don't ever be alone with the wrong people. Mm-hmm. That's another thing the pastor told me. Yeah. Don't you be alone. Have a witness. Mm-hmm. Water your own lawn. If the grass is greener on the other side, then water your own lawn.
I like that.
Stop looking at other people's relationships and want it. We talked about that a while ago. I can't be looking at nobody else's relationship and be like, man, I want that.
Right.
You don't know what they went through to get that.
Right.
Discover your spouse's love language.
That's real.
And pour into them with passionate service. Ooh, I like that one. Passionate service. Mm-hmm. See, that's where the courtship comes in. Yeah. You see, that's why marriages don't last as long anymore, because the courtship is being microwaved. Right. If the courtship goes like it's supposed to go, and now I'm learning, what do I do while I'm working? I'm serving you. Right. Whatever you need as a man, you know how we. Right. I'm gonna open that door for her. Right. Yeah. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. She gonna be polite. She gonna start raising standards. All these things play a part. Right. I always tell people, men and women, you have to set a standard in your relationship.
That's right.
Do dishes. Go to counseling. Work out. Listen. Part with that pair of sweatpants.
If you got a regular pair,
you gotta go out.
Some people
go to counseling. Work out. Listen. Part with that pair of sweatpants. Get along together, spiritual together, and naked together. You understand that? You gotta be butt naked with your spouse.
Right. Oh yeah.
Make your spouse the most important human being in your life.
That's right.
Put your spouse in front of the kids.
Can you go back though? Can you say who the most important person in your life?
Listen, that's this here. I want y'all to hear me well.
Your spouse.
Blended.
People don't be believing.
Your spouse is the most important person in your life.
Blended families. Check this out. Blended families. That means you have stepchildren and all that involved. If you are married, your husband or your wife still number one. The reason being, God said, I put you together.
That's right.
And what I put together, let nobody else put apart. And if you don't get it that way, check this here out. When them kids make 18, every child that you go to war with your husband or wife for, them kids gonna go on about their business. You gonna be the one. Marriage is for life. It ain't for them 18 years when your kids gone. Now when your daughter find another husband or your son find, and he gonna be gone.
That's right. Because they're not gonna
but your wife is expected to be there.
You need a life partner.
Yeah.
Remember that they're your life partner. I'm not saying I'm talking like it's me. I'm talking to me too. Yeah. But I do know it's two situations. That's why I wanted you to stop. One situation is when you have a blended family, stepchildren. Yeah. And it's a natural thing to make sure that your kid. And then sometimes if it's your kids, both parents. Yeah. Then sometimes people have the tendency to say, I gotta make sure the kid's straight first. Listen, I don't know no man that's gonna come in there and take a plate from his kid. But it's not about technically handing the plate to him, it's about the fact that he was thought of first in his order. Yeah. It was the fact that when your grandma used to set that plate aside for her husband before everybody else ate, that was an order in the household. That let the kids know that Popo got to eat first. That don't mean he gonna eat first literally, because he might not be there when y'all eating. But his plate was set aside first. That's just an analogy. But it's so natural, and I'm not blaming, because it happens all the time, where people, even when they have the kids together, let alone step kids, but when they have kids together, they'll have this thing in their mind where they like, kids first, kids first, kids first. I want to make sure the kids eat. I don't know how you gonna eat today. Husband call, want to see what they got to eat, nothing to eat. Figure it out. Okay, that's fine. I don't know no daddy that's gonna be mad that his kids ate. Nah. The point is, the order has been the order in that household has been it's been so lopsided and moved around and switched around that you're not understanding that you're raising them up to be adults one day.
Yeah.
So what you are trying to do, you're trying to set a standard for how they're going to carry on business in their household. They're not going to never feel bad that dad was first. What you really showing them is that when they have a household, dad is first. That comes with a lot. You don't just be dad, you don't just be the head of the household by name only. It comes with acts and actions too. But that's just something I wanted to say.
And it also produces this. It produces this. When you don't put kids first, I've learned, because like I said, I've had a chance to counsel.
Mm-hmm.
When it's blended children, the children tend to be one of the main causes of problems in a relationship.
Right.
You ain't my daddy or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And the parent will seem to think this one don't care much about this one. But at the end of the day, you have to present, because you got to present a united front.
Correct.
Because if you let any kind of, like the spirit resides in children too. If you let that spirit, that whatever's operating in that child, if you let it interrupt the household, it's gonna do it every chance it gets.
Wow.
Every chance they get, that kid is gonna have you at odds with one another.
Right.
That kid gonna have you in a place where all that kid gotta do is look at their mama, then look at you, or look at their daddy, then look at you.
Right.
Then it's a problem.
That's right. And y'all can go in the back and talk.
Yeah.
Y'all might have to talk about it later on, but in front of the kids, though, you gotta kind of make that front. You gotta present that front.
And that's the thing. To keep reading here, it says,
What do you say? Okay. Put your spouse in front of the kids on 2, at the bottom of 2.
okay.
I think the last one sentence.
What's it say? Put your spouse in front of kids. Work, money, things, hobbies, and yes, your own mother.
That's all.
They try to be funny with that one.
Right.
But it's the truth. Parents tend to be in their children's relationship more than they need to at times. Love your spouse like Christ loved the church. And remember, Christ gave himself for the church.
Right.
Understand that. Husbands, love your wives. But understand the devastation of adultery. No matter what romance novels and television love trying to say about it, adultery devastates lives. It hurts the two people involved, as well as their kids, their families, their friends, their co-workers, people who look up to them, their businesses, their ministries, and the future of their marriages. That's the short list, the ugly and never worth it. Google this. How many affairs turn into marriage?
Right.
Side pieces be waiting, boy.
Right.
Listen, know God's good news. Even when we are unfaithful, God is faithful.
No.
Like Pastor Craig says, adultery may be grounds for divorce. We already talked about
Well,
that.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
But it's also grounds for forgiveness. Christ died for all sin. If you have experienced adultery, healing is possible. Look to Christ to find strength to forgive, seek counseling, regain trust, and do the hard but unbelievably powerful work of restoration.
Yeah.
God can restore everything that's damaged.
Yeah.
I believe that, and this is my personal thing, that I believe that if a man and woman are honestly striving and chasing behind Christ, the enemies will try to infiltrate your relationship. They will.
Yeah.
I mean, not just men and women that are into Christ. You ain't gotta be into Christ.
Right.
Somebody is gonna try your relationship. It's just a way of life.
Right.
The world has gotten to a place where marriages are no longer sacred to some people.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? They're being married. Oh, girl, he be in my inbox.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
That woman married, man. If she wanks, she'll. I mean, I'm just
Right,
saying, bro.
right.
You know how it is. So
If
nowadays,
she looked, she took.
Right. That's real.
Yeah.
so it's absolutely imperative that we as people, or men and women of God, do everything that we can to keep our spouse's attention without being controlling,
Yes.
without being jealous.
Yes.
I told my wife a while back, I said, baby, I've given you to God. I've given you to God. So that being said, I'm not gonna be out here stressed out about where you go, what you do, where you at. None of that, because I've given you to God. If it's for us, it's for us.
Right.
I've given you to God.
Right.
Ain't nothing else I can do.
Right.
You gotta live, man. You
Right.
got to live.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, I ain't lying, man. This is a serious discussion. Man, I ain't lying. It's something serious, man. I'm taking part of it, but I go back and watch this 2-3 times.
Yeah, I got it.
But I hope that with all of our personalities, that y'all still saw honest, earnest effort on trying to be transparent and also trying to make sure that we able to help somebody. And to me, I just think the way you can help somebody is by being real. It's real talk. I'm not here because I'm great. They're not here because they're great or perfect. I'm not here because I'm so special. I'm special because God made me, but I'm also a sinner, and I do wrong. But I get better. And as I learn and mature with Christ, I just see things that I won't do today that I would have done in the past. And that's all I can do, man. And at the end of the day, I want y'all to always remember this, that just because people are talking to you and trying to encourage you to be better, that don't mean they're perfect. But see, the enemy wants you to think that they can't even talk to you unless they're perfect.
Right.
But see, that's the case. Nobody should be talking to nobody.
That's
There
it.
shouldn't be no conversation being had on earth if you're waiting for me to be perfect before I can say something encouraging to you. What if I only sharing something that I've gotten over and I want to help you with that?
Right.
I still got to go through stuff.
Yeah.
But that don't mean that I should be judged because, they talking about the Bible. They must think that God. No, he must think. I just seen him the other day look like he kind of was looking at my booty. Real talk. That's how people think.
Yes, sir.
Okay? But the enemy wants you to be quiet, though. Don't have nothing to say, because he's going to always bring up the things that you did wrong or the things that you are doing wrong and trying to overcome. But we started Real Talk not because we're great. We started Real Talk as a way of encouraging each other to get through COVID, and it has evolved into a weekly Bible or kingdom building discussion where men, it could be women as well, it just happen to have been men, have trying to get better in their walk with Christ.
Yes.
That's all it is. You can look at me tomorrow and be wondering why I'm talking the way I'm talking. Look, I'm working on it. So all I can tell you, I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. He's not perfect. He's not perfect. But we sharing our own personal experiences, our own personal interpretations of what God gave us to share with you guys. And I hope it be meaningful to you guys. I just wanted to make that out as a disclaimer and put that out one more time. But man, it was a wonderful discussion. I know it carried on kind of long, but it was necessary. That's why you don't have to do number 3 days. You don't got to do no 5-6 days when you got these kind of topics. They're gonna go on and play off of each other. So, man, without further ado, man, we don't even got to do the closing commentary.
Nah.
We really don't, because it's been all said.
I'm good.
And I really, truly, I think it's been something that's been beneficial. So, without further ado, man, it's not even about being liked. It's not about how people feel. As long as you make sure that whatever you say, you bring passion, you show respect, but most importantly, you keep it real. That's Real Talk, Kingdom Discussions, Marriage Crisis. It's in the books. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Man, when you seem like the time we go.